you see, when it comes to the PGI, there is roughly a 50-50 weightage on the PGI. And I'll explain to you how simple things are. Half of the PGI is based on the quality of the exams or the students, on how they reply. And roughly about 50% is on the actual infrastructure, facilities and awareness that is created in schools. We have a PGI roughly, approximately plus minus about 450 plus minus. And a lot of the states on top, who are in the middle, on an average, have a PGI of about 550. So we have about 100 marks of difference. And even if we were to cross 500, we would be in the top 20. Now, how does the indexing work? Now, we have simple issues. And please remember, the PGI, this 50% of marks that happen, the principals actually feed in the data and information about the different questions that are there. Let me give you an example. There are 10 marks for what they call a reading space. So if you have a reading space in your school, you get 10 marks. We got 0.5 out of 10. Example. Why? Because the principal said we don't have reading space. Now what is a reading space? A reading space is a reading space. So if a room on the side somewhere, or a section that is there, or even a hallway, if some section of that is created and a space is created where stools are kept, a lot of schools will put their marks as marks for a reading space based on whatever space they can create. What I'm trying to tell you is that it's not possible to solve that problem. You can solve that problem, and all the 14,000 schools, and that's another problem for us. Our problem is our base is 14,000, whereas other states, their bases are 4,000, 3,000 schools. We get marked on 14,000 schools. So all the 14,000 schools have to then say that they have a reading space. Now we can easily create reading spaces in almost all the 14,000 schools. Which means what? Which means we can get that additional 10 points out of that 100 points which I was mentioning to you, just through a simple step of that. And there are 500 points, by the way, on this section. Second example, there is 10 points for awareness of cyber security. What does that mean? That means there should be some awareness campaign, which means that if I am here and I spend one day where I have a full day of a conference on cyber security for the students, we can mark, and the principal can mark what kind of awareness that the marks don't, or question doesn't specify. It just specifies that you should have a awareness campaign. So even if you put up a TV screen, or even not a TV screen, if you have a sheet and you read out that cyber security is like this, like this, like this. At the end of the day, principal can easily tick that box and say awareness for cyber security took place. That's another 10 marks. 20 marks just right there. Simple problems like we have 1,832 schools which are secondary and high secondary. Out of these 1,800 schools, almost all of them have replied back saying that they don't have science lab, for example. I mean, about 200 have said they have science labs. About 1,500, 1,600 have science, they don't have science lab. How is it possible to have a science section without a science lab? So maybe they don't have a science lab which is at par with, say, the larger schools and universities and all that, but they have a science lab. Maybe the principals are replying the question based on the fact that they hope that they will get a science lab if they say no, they don't have a science lab. I don't know the logic. But this is what the principals end up replying. My point is, I don't know how difficult this would be to create an awareness program on that. So I'm just giving you 4 examples of 4 questions where with minimum input we can create and we can get 10 or 40 points. So like that, as I said, there are about 100 questions. In all of these questions, most of the time our teachers, our principals, are maybe in a naive manner, are not able to actually comprehend the exact requirement of the question, and they end up answering in ways that are not very convincing for our point system. Another example is, say, internet connection. Almost all the schools that have, I think they have said they don't have internet connection. Now you go to any other state, the principals will say, yeah, there's internet connection because my mobile has internet connection. So if your mobile has internet connection, the one principal has answered that yes, they have mobile connection, internet connection. The other school principal in Meghalaya has replied, no, we don't have, because they may be expecting optical fiber. But the guidelines say that you are, a mobile connection of internet is equal to internet connection. We lose 10 points there also. So there again, we're less than 1 point. So like this, there are about close to 30 questions out of the 100, which we have analyzed and seen, which actually are not as complicated. Now, I'll give you another one, which is really, really funny also in one way. There are schools that have been asked you about the toilets. Now, as you know, we have certain villages where there is one building and there are 4 schools inside that building. Means the UDIS number is 4 different numbers they have. But they are actually the same building. The toilet actually belongs to, say, school A, but school B and school C and school D also use it. But when school C, D, B, C, D and R are asked whether you have a toilet, they say no. But actually they have, and they're part of the same system. That's because we have too many schools. Remember, I mentioned to you, we have too many schools. So actually they should have been part of one school. They should be under one UDIS number. But there are 4 schools, 4 UDIS numbers using the same toilet, but other 3 marking that there are no toilets, but they're using the same toilet in the same building, and we're only getting points for one school. And like that happens for many, many other facilities that are required in schools. Having said that, I'm not saying that we have got all the facilities. No school and no areas have all the facilities. No states have all the facilities. Everybody has shortcomings, and we have maybe more than them. But the way the markings have come out is not really the representation of the actual situation at the grassroots level. There are many areas, if we are able to work properly with the schools, collaborate with the principals, create some awareness at the grassroots level, I'm very confident that about 60-70 marks we can improve immediately, which means we'll be in the 500 plus category, which will bring us to 20 plus. That means we're talking of 5 to 6 positions we can improve. So these kind of things requires a very detailed analysis of every question all the 14,000 teachers and principals have replied to for each of the 100 questions that have been asked, and finding out each problem in each of the areas and seeing how genuine they are. And in certain areas, as I said, if it's an awareness, you say that you don't have a drug awareness or you don't have a cybersecurity awareness. Well, then have it. It's a one-day program. If you can't do it, then we'll send the experts to do it. But that allows us to have that one tick. So if all 14,000 schools do it, we get 10 marks there. Another 10 marks for others. So once you see these questions and once you see the markings that we are getting based on these questions, you would realize that actually these are really low-hanging fruits. And we can actually do them. And to be very, very fair to our education system, the PGIA ranking and the marking that has happened has not completely reflected the kind of standards and the quality that we are having. We are not being able to, as I said, process and communicate and really work closely with our principals, which we have decided to do now, and ensure that we are able to answer the questions in the right manner. As I said, if there are shortcomings, we'll do it. Like, for example, if they say, we'll say yes, but we need a dongle. We'll give a dongle, because that ensures that we get 10 points more. Or if they say, well, we can we have an allowance for internet? Whatever it is, I'm just giving examples. For example, reading space. We can easily create reading spaces in almost every school by ensuring that maybe a few chairs are given, one room is dedicated, and and we move forward in that. So there are a lot of areas which are very low-hanging areas, and if scientifically approached, I'm very sure that we can resolve these issues and we can get those 70 to about 90 points that we require, which will then allow us to improve our ranking by almost 10 to 12 points.
Lily, Pikalan.
Kanda pitaray kami kabisa. Balik itu na hadu kami.
Kanambay kami kamay.
Mano bawan kata baci? Kau lawan.
Lawan kamu.
Ila khamsi taman ta.
Ila su palan. Wan nam dan jeng tiang ni ai. Mentato penhiar mesin suki-suki bat ngamo.
Kali jono kan ni? Ba, ka hospital tinggal aja ngai nang ni. Kabai kali pan?
Kabai kali latip ke sarkar.
Binti aswa hang ni hadu nda depor kamu.
What was laitan?
Ba kan dekat skim kalau ya rap cibun ya kilong yang kum jong pi.
Shim kanay ka bam? Kublay shibun sista. Gidan ka man siwi ay.
Em peruk ka hika sarkar.
Kublay shibun. Iladan ako siya kakababyan.
Ke sarkar ka jarap ikit kiba aplang.
Kublay shibun.
Sister, hapsi ukat no ma?
Kasurkar kalak siulut ikijing lut jing separo.
Kabli sipuan ma?
Ngiki bakar do, ngampoi perkat banyok kum kani kajing yarap. Hawat kan?
Kanika Chief Minister Safe Motherhood Scheme. Kalau ai jing rap yang isibon bah kipat ba.